they project things to be like this way bigger than they are. And I'm not saying they're doing that with COVID. They are, but they're
But you can imagine how much money they're making.
I followed clickbait shit. I was like, oh, what was this Rand Paul versus Fauci thing? And it was like Rand Paul.
Oh yeah, that's
anti-masker goes against Fauci and attacks or something. I watched the whole fucking video. It was nothing like that. They had their side of the debate.
Sure.
It was cordial. And at the end, they both agreed with each other. Did they talk about that? No. The only headlines you see, the only thing they talk about are the talking points. Rand Paul thinks that Fauci wants to cancel all baseball, and Fauci says he has nothing to do with baseball. And it's like, that's what you picked out of this shit? What the fuck is going on?
I don't get it.
It's bullshit. Don't watch the news. It's bullshit.
No.
It's all bullshit.
It's too much. And yeah, I don't know. The news just drives me crazy. And that's another thing. Here's the deal. Right now, Black Lives Matter. Your stupid little coffee union doesn't. Oh, shit. I will say that point blank right now that owners are dealing with so much more fucking... I know personally. I work for a small business. I literally have the company on my shoulders right now. It is so stressful, and you see how the economy is being affected firsthand in my job. And I'm also seeing how fucked up our minimum wage is and how everyone should always make $2,400 a month. That shouldn't be a question. Yeah. At least.
I love that. That is true. Like the side of the debate, they're like, why do people want so much money? This is ridiculous. You need to earn it.
But then you give $600 extra a week on top of unemployment.
Right. They figured out how much people need to actually survive.
You give $1,500 and you realize that this is what people need to survive.
Yeah.
So
that's what they base the numbers off of.
Social Security is like what, $1,300 a month?
Oh,
how the fuck does anyone survive on that? And same with anyone that has a disability. Those disability checks are nothing. I have so many candidates that come into my office that say, here's the deal. I'm on disability, so I can only work 20 hours. Do you have something like that so I don't lose my benefits? But that's all they can realistically work. And they have major issues that would make them not be able to work 40 hours.
Yeah.
Or necessarily be a great candidate to bring on because there's a prejudice against it of saying, oh, this person has a disability, they're a liability, they have a pre-existing condition, they're not going to work as hard, I can't be as mean to them. There's all these weird stipulations of hiring someone with a handicap. And that's another thing that needs to be recognized too, that we've held a prejudice against that. We've held very true racism towards Black people and them getting certain jobs.
Well, this is where we need to find the balance because
just so much
people
so much.
The people aren't created equal, and our job isn't to make things perfectly equal. Our job is to be as fair as possible to the individual. Like you said, if someone doesn't have hands, you don't let them fucking have a sewing job, right?
Unless they can sew with their toes.
If they can sew with their toes all day, I'm all about it. But it's those basic things, and it's not. It's like, well, you just don't support them because that is the radical side of the argument.
Yeah, no, that is.
And it's both radical sides because their side says I don't want to hire them at all.
Obviously, like a person with a missing arm. No, that's not true. There's a one-arm welder for sure. There's multiple. But actually, welders lose a lot of limbs and fingers and things.
There's a lot of cancers, a lot of lung problems in welding.
100%. It's a really hardcore
it's a hard job.
occupation. But I mean, obviously in a manufacturing company, probably wouldn't send someone with a handicap.
Yeah.
However, if it's a desk job and they're filing something and it's meant for an intern or a temp, maybe give that job to them. You know what I mean? Just give everyone a chance.
Absolutely.
Really stand by what every stupid work application says that we never...
Well, and that's the biggest issue. The issue isn't that jobs will pick whoever's the best at it.
Yeah.
People want to make money.
Yeah.
Period. They don't care if it's a girl, boy, black or white, or if it's a stump. If the stump gets the job done and makes some money, they'll fucking hire the stump. Doesn't matter.
But I know people that have said that they've not hired, not, I'm not great friends with these people, but I've heard people say like, oh, I'm not going to hire this person because they won't sell as much because of their skin color versus,
Right.
if I were to hire a white male with
That's systemic racism.
a boasting voice and someone that clearly takes charge versus a black guy that has a boasting voice and takes charge and is also capable of doing the job, but you decide to say, oh, I'm going to go with the white guy instead because he'll probably be able to sell more.
Because there's racists out there. And
where I'm located
there's
specifically,
racists,
there is a lot of racism.
So, yeah, you don't want to lose out, so you got to cater to the racist. That's systemic racism.
Yeah.
But for the majority of these jobs and stuff, it's not that these people are being like that, like supporting systemic racism, but the fact that there's just not a lot of opportunities for, there's more. That's the problem from the grassroots. There needs to be equal opportunities in school, in communities, all communities.
Yeah.
Black, Mexican, Asian, because I'm sure there's freaking Asian programmers who don't want to do Asian programming. They want to be welders,
It's true.
And those opportunities aren't there, or at least they're not readily available.
No. Well, and that's exactly right. Like the systemic racism that you see that not a lot of people have paid attention to over the years is you have a really prominent white neighborhood with maybe one black family in it. They're all upper class. And the school that they go to, that all of those kids from all those homes, that specific neighborhood, those property taxes are a little bit higher. They're more policed. They're like,
they get after school programs.
Yeah, and not more policed in that sense, but like more, they are more policed, but they're
policed in a good way.
Yeah, like it's more friendly, it's more cordial, it's more of a peace officer feeling than
right. Police have a different attitude in wealthier communities because
100%.
They're not
because it's safer.
The threat,
and and like the most you're going to get out of someone is fraud. Is so what most people are running.
They're way closer to the community than they would be in a ghetto.
Yeah,
where they drive by and everyone's a potential criminal. Everyone's a potential killer.
Like mixed race. Lower income neighborhoods don't have the same amount of funding, so they don't get the same amount of funding, and taxes don't go as much as they would to schools and after school programs as so much as that more prominent white healthier neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they also have healthier food. They have healthier everything. Everything's just a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
And that's fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Like I think every city needs to really understand, like, don't just go repave the streets in the nice neighborhood. Go repave the streets in a bad neighborhood, too. Like, why is one put off than the other one? Yeah. So frustrating. Like, I pay taxes every year. My taxes should be the same across the board. And the 1% that makes a shit ton of money should give a shit ton of money. Like, you would easily, everything would work out just a little bit better. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily equal, but it's fair. And everyone's getting their cut taken. And obviously that lower income, depending on a certain, like, that number needs to be a little bit higher. Like, a family of 5, $32,000 looks like a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But when you actually go into the house of a family of 5 and a single mom working or a single dad working and taking care of those 5 kids, $32,000 means nothing. That's $1. You might as well give that person $1 a day.
It's not much.
Like, that's literally what they have. They're paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I live it all the time, and I'm definitely not in a bad neighborhood. I'm in a lower income neighborhood, but I live paycheck to paycheck. Like, there's so many fucking people that do.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just like the government with the whole COVID and responding with the unemployment, that's where I start to see the economy fail. That's where I start to see things because people are realizing, oh, I can make more.
And younger people...
they should make more.
I'm kind of generalizing, but there is a large group of people because you see these I
think I went on a weird tangent. I didn't even get to my point.
You get to these ideas like Chaz in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
And you
CHOP. It's called CHOP.
CHOP.
At the
Well,
end of
it's nothing now. They got
Yeah.
shut the fuck down because fucking 7 people died, and they turned into a tyrannical state of what they were fucking totally against.
Did you know like 300 people have died in Chicago from?
Oh, it's insane, the violence that's going on in Chicago.
It's from like May or something.
Oh, like 24 people died in a 24-hour
And,
period or
like-
something. 30 people. It's insane. It's just
And like 12 kids died this last weekend or something like that. Like one shot point blank in the head. Another like
Yeah.
real fucked up shit.
and to me that's a whole different thing. But
I know.
my
I'm
point-
sorry. I
my
have
point
so
is-
many thoughts
I know
right now.
there's so much to cover. So just talking about like individuals who are against, who think they're for social programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm for. Obviously, we're all for social programs. We love the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
We love public schools. Now, could these things be better? Absolutely. Absolutely. The cops. This is a social program.
Mm-hmm.
We take tax money to be protected.
Yeah.
The problem
Instead,
is,
they're causing fear.
well, there's 2 problems. I was thinking about this. It's a lopsided problem. So you have individuals who are willing to die for a teacher's salary to protect people. And also, not all cops are racist, but every racist cop has a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
An issue.
that's a bit of an issue. So, what's our next step to actually fix this in a productive way?
Well, and last I was on this podcast, I think the first time I was on it, I mentioned I wasn't sure so much on the defund the police because I didn't read into it. However, we defund so many other government programs.
Right. Well, yeah.
And it filters
We were
out.
talking about it as more of an
Yeah.
allocation thing.
Exactly. And so now what's happening is people really do want to defund the police. Like they're like take them out completely, which I understand where people are coming from. There's been more rage and more anger dealing with the police, and it hasn't subsided, and it's been staying very much the same for the last 30 years. There hasn't been a lot of change.
Yeah.
And
Well,
there's shows that I watch on TV Land that are from the old days. It's like some 50s black and white
Yeah.
show, and they still are very, I mean, I know the time period, but it's very relatable for a cop approaching a black man on one of those 50s shows to a cop approaching a black man now. It's very
It's got
eerily similar.
the problem is that it has gotten better. I know it's hard to believe that.
No, it has.
But
I mean, I've
it's-
definitely seen changes, but it's so
still
fucking
could be a
slow.
lot. It could be a lot better.
And then Nixon's, that whole thing I was telling you about earlier. So there's this thing that the Republicans, Nixon's, what is that?
President Nixon?
Yeah, his
Richard-
presidency. I know I said Richard Nixon. I know the name. But I'm saying
A
like
tomato.
his office. Like, what's that called?
Cabinet.
Party.
The Republican Party?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm trying
His
to
cabinet,
say. His
his-
run. His period. But then his...
Yeah, his presidency. His legacy?
Sure. I don't know, but whatever. So either way, Nixon's campaign basically came out with Southern Strategy. And it's a strategy where you, in your campaign ads, and when you're saying certain things, you use words like thugs and Crips and ghetto, and because everyone associates the ghetto with immigrants, black people, thugs, and Crips. Like, that's what people had at that
Right.
at that time period. That's what you thought. Mm-hmm. And some people still think that, which is it blows my mind. but yeah, so they made the Southern Strategy, and in your campaign, you would always focus on a black guy. George W. Bush did it with a black guy, Willie Horton. Do you remember him? Mm-mm. So it was this whole
Sounds familiar.
campaign ad that he ran about this black guy that had stabbed a kid, raped a lady, this whole thing. And he made it kind of the center of his campaign to say that his Democratic opponent was basically for this type of person because they would do weekend passes at prisons. But all prisons did weekend passes. It was a